Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me. One more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, so we will call this meeting to order, November 6th edition of the Fitchburg Parks Commission. We'll start with the approval of the minutes. Draft minutes for October 2nd were issued in there. Do we have any comments on or edits to the minutes?
I have a motion to approve with some edits. Okay, suggestions for edits. In section C4, where the Swan Creek design was discussed, I would just like to add, it says motion to approve. After that, the addition would be the side-by-side tennis courts strive for pickleball. So that's the first one. The second is in C5. We had the discussion of the votes for the various suggested names. And in the last vote, in the first two votes, it is listed who voted no, but it was omitted in the third one, and in that third motion, Christopher Peguero voted no. So adding that would make the three consistent with each other, and that's it.
All right, sounds very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. All those in favor say, I should say, is there any discussion? Additional discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item 3A, public appearances for non-agenda items. I believe we have an introduction.
Good evening. My name is Eric Schreiner. I am the newly hired Parks and Forestry Manager for the City of Fitchburg. I couldn't be happier to be here. The past 4 days have been a lot. I briefly know the area. I worked out of fish hatchery offices with the Wisconsin DNR in some capacity there, but prior to this, I was the Parks and Forestry Director and City Forester for the City of Lake Mills. I was in that capacity for 4 years. Prior to that, I had various positions throughout the state Department of Natural Resources. I was a park ranger briefly, but I did work with the Bureau of Facilities and Lands. What I did there is over a 13-county area, do a lot of park and recreational analysis for state properties and development projects in that capacity, overseeing everything from engineering to implementation to maintenance. So that was prior to my time with the City of Lake Mills. And I felt Fitchburg was a fantastic step in my career path for the right direction. And moving up in a community size has been, like I said, overwhelming, but it's been very welcoming so far. So I appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you and know you all on a personal basis. And again, I appreciate it.
Very happy to have you here.
Welcome.
Hopefully getting up
Thank
and
you.
running goes smoothly. And
Yes, first thing, I just got to educate myself about the city, the community, our parks as much as possible. But that's why I'm here this evening. I want to learn how you guys operate and what it is you're discussing. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
Please pass on to the Parks Department my thanks for mowing the grassy area in Jamestown Eagle Park. It had grown up, they were starting to get brush growing up, and they just completed that before winter. So please pass on my thanks to John Wren and the team that did that for us.
Absolutely will. Thank you very much.
Moving on to agenda item 4. We have one discussion action item today, and that is Resolution R-18525, amending the 2025 TID Closure Fund and Cemetery Fund budgets for parks projects. Do we have a motion on R-18525?
Approval. Motion to approve.
Christopher, would you mind taking the second? Dave beat you to the motion.
Sure, second.
All right, there we go. We got first and a second. So discussion on this resolution. Adam, do you want to give us a summary?
Thank you. There's 3 items in here tonight. The repairs at Hugel Jamestown Park. This is something that we identified as part of the 2026 budget. Unfortunately, it wasn't funded. So the challenge that we're starting to have with the shelter in the park is the columns, the beams that kind of run up and down there. The paint's starting to chip on those, so we've looked at that. We need to make some improvements or changes on that. And then the ceiling of the covered the shelter is that wood kind of cedar. I don't know if it's cedar, but it's that wood material that we typically use in our park shelters. We're starting to get some mildew on that and starting to become discolored and some staining issues on that. So looking at shifting some funds from our TID closure to tackle those repairs. We don't have a price on the work, so that's why it's $9,500. So whatever we don't spend on that, we'll just continue to use for our parks maintenance. But looking at trying to get those kind of potential items addressed before they become bigger problems at that shelter. The second item is park rule signs. This is something that internally we've been talking about for quite some time. If you do go to our parks, we have some inconsistent park rule signs. We've got the red signs, we've got other types of signs out there, but trying to look at updating our signs, making them more standard, and also then putting them on our brand. So we've got, I think, some signs that are left from our old township days, to be honest with you. So looking at making upgrades to that, and the $7,500 most likely does not cover all the city park signs, but at least gives us a good start to kind of get moving forward with that. So these would not be the monument signs themselves, it would be the park rule signs that you see at various entrances to our parks. And then lastly is an amendment, and that the park signs would come from the TID closure as well. And lastly, looking at replacing our cemetery sign. If you've been down there recently, it's not there. The woodpeckers got to it and put a lot of holes into it. Unfortunately, we didn't have any money budgeted in our cemetery for that replacement. So we're looking at a budget amendment from our cemetery fund. So this is a non-levy item. These are funds that people pay in when they buy plots in the actual cemetery. So looking at shifting and allocating those funds. And as part of the 26 budget, we now have money allocated in our maintenance fund for our cemetery. So when we have small repair items like this, we don't have to come back here and ask for a budget amendment. So those are the 3 items. Like I said, the first 2 are from TID closure, the last one's from the cemetery fund.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Sue?
The park.
Just curious. I'm sorry.
The park.
Go ahead.
The park rules signs. Is that also sort of a guesstimate of cost, or is that more?
Yeah, it's a guesstimate. I mean, I don't think 7,500 is going to cut it. I mean, and it's also comes down to, do we have, what language is it in? Is it just English? Is it in Spanish? Or is it in anything else? Does it have a QR code on it? And then, just do we kind of rebrand them? You see more like in larger national parks where you have more symbols. So you kind of start cutting out the words as well. So making it real quick and easy for people to look at it and go, oh yeah, no fireworks in the park, or no, keep your dogs in the leash. So it's an estimate. I mean, it's just a challenge because as you enter our parks, there's multiple ways to get into most parks. And you look at McKee, there's like 4 off the top of my head, if not 5 ways to get in there. And it's like, where do you put these? So the 75 is a starting point. 7,500 is a starting point. I don't think it'll be sufficient, but we would try to hit our major parks first and then work the list.
Okay, I vote for bilingual Spanish, definitely. I think it helped with some things we were working on in a park near my house. Thanks.
Heidi?
Hi, 2 things. Could I ask people to speak just a little closer to the mic? I'm just having a little trouble hearing. And then the second thing is, just having worked for another township, I know that 7,500 is going to be woefully inadequate for replacing all the signs in all of our parks. And I'm just curious if you've done any sort of research on what the entire plan will cost, how long you plan to stretch it out for, where the additional funds will come, I mean, this is an enormous undertaking.
Yeah, no, we recognize the 7,500 as a starting point. Until we know what the signs look like, until we know what the sizes are, it's hard for us to kind of budget out what exactly that's going to look like from a, just a cost standpoint. And then it gets into the conversation of, as we look at our community parks versus our neighborhood parks, other smaller signs potentially for those community parks, and the neighborhood parks. So, yeah, I mean, just from where do you find additional funds? I mean, that's going to be a challenge. I think probably the first thing we're going to tackle are those larger, community parks, just because our signage there is already pretty woeful or it's falling apart, and then work it from there. But it's probably not going to be sufficient to get them all. To be honest, we've got 45, 50 parks total. I mean, we're not going to be able to tackle all those with this funding. But we want to at least get something started, and at least getting in place of this is what the model needs to be moving forward, because we don't have that right now.
Okay, so the 7,500 would be sort of the prototype.
It's a starting point of hopefully at least taking out our community parks or getting those taken care of.
Would the Park Commission have any sort of input in terms of which parks would be given first dibs? I know you had mentioned the larger parks, which I agree. I think that's a great idea. I mean, I don't know if, McKee Farms or what is sort of the thought of which would be the first few parks?
Yeah, probably sure. I mean, I'll defer to Eric of how much we want to kind of come back and, figure it out. But I think initially we'd have McKee, McGaw, trying to get through our community parks. Hugo, Jamestown, possibly Southdale. I'm just going through the larger parks that we have that typically have like park shelter rentals. I guess that's where I'd probably gravitate initially, to any place that has a rental going on, just because that's where you get more activity because of the rentals. So it's a handful. I'd say it's 7 or 8, I think, that we rent out.
Chris?
Okay, I thought, Alder Herbst.
Adam, on the Jamestown Eagle on the columns, encourage you to use, like Georgia Pacific, something that is no maintenance, that nothing that's painted, whether if it's a metal or think ahead if you can. If it costs more to put something in we won't have to deal with, consider that.
Well, I think staff would appreciate that too, so I'm sure Eric's taking notes, and we'll follow up on that.
Christopher, did you have a hand up as well in there? I thought I saw. Nope. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? None opposed. Motion carries. All right, on to communication items. We have an update for the Traceway Drive, park naming.
Thank you. So I know we talked at the last meeting about the name for the facility on Traceway Drive, formerly known as the Hub, until we change the name. Right now there is a naming application that's been put out there. Applications are due no later than December 22nd, and the intent is to take those applications back to the Parks Commission in January for potential action by the council at their second meeting in January. So if you have people interested in submitting a name, I would encourage you to fill out the application and submit it. And yeah, those would be submitted to me, I guess. Any questions on the process for that?
Sue?
Just a comment, the park naming application is very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice
It's
to
new.
have one.
We do also, I should note, this does require a 60-day notice, so the notice has been put in the State Journal as well, too. So we're in that notice period as well. And it just takes a little bit longer with the timing of the Black Parks Commission meeting and then the 60-day notice. So it's longer than 60 days, actually, if you're curious.
All right. Thank you for the update. You have a few submitted so far that you've received?
We have 4 total names that are currently will be brought back to the Park Commission. I'd prefer not to get into the names just because we could weigh them all at once, but
just the number was all I was looking
right
for.
now we have 4, but we'd happily take more.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? All right, moving on to agenda item 6, staff reports and updates. Let's see, we have the reports included in the packet. Does anybody have any questions on those?
I would just add, kind of back to the naming on the 24th of November, we have the ribbon cutting at that facility. So just forget what time it is, Adam, or
So
you guys remember.
the event is 3 to 6, and the ribbon will be cut at, give me 1 second if you don't mind. The ribbon will be cut at 5:15, someone said? Yes, 5:15, thank you, whoever
Yeah.
said that. So it's open house, so I would encourage people, you can show up anytime you want, you can look around. Just remember it gets dark at 4:30, so if you want to look at the outside, show up early.
Thank you. All right, and then we have a resident wishing to speak on agenda item 6. Patrick Cheney, please come on up.
Yes, I facetiously labeled it as 6D because I'm hopeful that the report from the Parks crew will return. As I understand it, with the new management structure reorganized, the crew supervisor, again, is reporting directly to the Parks manager. And that report was always very useful because it told the commission and the public of what is going on with the crew, what they're working on out in the field and things. In lieu of there not being that in these reports, there was a couple of things that I thought I would mention to inform the commission and the public. At the most recent council meeting, the administrator's report mentioned that the Tower Hill shelter was all done. I stopped by and looked at it, and it looks really good. It looks great. From the outside, it has pretty much the same appearance, the dark red brick, so I figured that is not a shocking change to the neighborhood. This is an older neighborhood, so from the outside, it kind of looks the same. On the inside, it looks surprisingly better than it did before. It looked really bad before. And it's all painted white, and the restrooms are about twice the size, and there's still a lot of room, amazingly, inside of the shelter, in the inside room part. So I think it came out really good. The second thing I was going to mention is the McGaw pickleball courts. For a few weeks ago, a new light pole, same as the light poles that go along the walkway, one was added into the middle between the 8 and the 4 courts on the cement center part. That light is already working because it taps into an existing circuit. It doesn't need the new electric circuit for that one. And this light is so bright, and being right in the middle right there, it lights up many of the courts that are the closest to it. Certainly the nearest 2 to the east of the 4 new courts, and the nearest 2 to the west of the 8 original courts. And if a lot of people wanted to play, I'm sure it would light up 4 on each side. That'd be 8 courts lit up with just this single pole. So it's certainly available in the evening now. If people want to play, just walk up, and this light will light up many of the courts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, all good news. All right, any other questions or comments for item 6?
Chris, just want to add, that shelter, that's the second one, that we've redone. It was an old building. McGaw, we did that, and this one, and they both turned out wonderful. So I think we made a wise decision, and we don't always have to tear everything down and start new. So those are 2 good examples.
Yeah, that's great. All right, agenda item number 7 then, park inventory update. Just kind of keep hitting it.
It's coming.
It's coming. It'll be there. It'll be
Sooner
there.
than later now.
Yep.
Adam, what are you inventorying? I can. If you give me what you want, I'll do it for my neighborhood.
Oh, it's been done. So before Scott left, he did kind of complete it. It needs to be now checked, and that's one thing I've given Eric to do right away. And that's a good way for him to learn the parks in our system. So it does include kind of all the assets we have in our parks. So like I said, there's a version that's done. It's just a matter of it's got to be probably double checked and confirmed.
That's good. What is our, how do we plan to use the inventory?
Well, I think from a budgeting standpoint, I think obviously realizing how many assets that we have, I think that's going to be the knowledge of, we've got a lot of stuff in our parks. And I think it's a matter of, as you know, being an older person and the budget constraints, for better or for worse, we can build them, but we can't fix and replace. That's the challenge we have. So there's probably some conversations coming just what we have, where they're located, and do we keep doing what we've always been doing in some of these parks, or do we make some changes?
Well, I'm hoping you can provide us with a normalized maintenance cost. You know, looking at the assets, roughly, you know, it's never equal. I realize that, but you know, give us the number. We'll probably gulp, but it's a starting point. You know, to you have to figure out what your, I don't know what the replacement cycle is for every piece of equipment. You guys have a better handle of that, but I think we're looking for a normalized cost for, you know, maintaining our parks. Your best guess at it. And
I think the goal is trying to come up with a process to identify where there are potential hazards in the parks.
That's
that
probably
need to be
a better
addressed
place.
immediately.
Yeah.
And that there is a mechanism for us to at least talk about what stuff we should budget for, either operationally or otherwise. So it gives everybody the opportunity to, and if we need to explain what our priorities are, we can say, look, it came from the inventory, here's what the priorities are. Eric has looked at it, and he's identified what the top 5 items are that we can look at for the current year. Makes sense to me anyway.
Ignore what I said, Eric. Listen to Sam.
All right. Announcements. Our next meeting is December 4th. I believe that is our regular time, so nothing unusual there. And if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I wanted to ask Sue if she had any announcements.
Oh, we did get, thank you for reminding me to say it here, the Friends of Fitchburg Parks, which we've been talking about for a long time, several years, we do finally have status as a 501c3. And so there's a core group of people meeting, and we will ask to meet with staff to talk about ways they envision we help the city help deal with some of whether it's expenses or volunteer help. I'm keeping in mind that right now we have $0 and just a couple volunteers, but it started. So that's the announcement.
Look for something in the Star in December also.
That's very exciting. Thank you. All right. Any other announcements? Okay. I think Sam had made a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. And it is 6:23.
Thank you.